So these are the 4 components of a good prompt. If your prompt consists of these 4 things, you are enabling your generative model, your ChatGPT, to give you better and good results. Now, let's see an example. Here we will see sentiment analysis. We are setting up a context. It is written, act as an analyst. You are asking your ChatGPT to act like an analyst working for an OTT platform. You are saying your ChatGPT that you will have to perform sentiment analysis based on the feedback provided by the consumers. You are working for an OTT platform. Your consumers are the users that are seeing your movies, your web series. Now, the feedback that they provide, on that you have to do sentiment analysis. This is the context that you are giving to your ChatGPT. Now, giving this, your ChatGPT knows that they need to think from an analyst perspective. They need to do sentiment analysis. Now, second is instruction. You are saying to ChatGPT to classify the feedback into neutral, negative, positive. Where you are instructing or telling your ChatGPT that what is positive. Positive means your consumer is your promoter. Negative means they are demoter. Neutral means they are neither promoter or demoter. They are neutral towards your content. This is the instruction that you give, what the ChatGPT or what generative model needs to do. This is what it is doing, classifying. Next is your input data and your output indicator. Before that, let's see an example. A good prompt, while you're giving a good prompt, if you give examples for your generative model, here in this case, we are using ChatGPT. If you give them an example, they will learn from this example and train your input data to give the output. Here we have given 2 examples. Feedback. First feedback is, I think the series was okay. Second feedback is, the acting of each character in the series was awesome. So, I think the series was okay. It took this okay as neutral. So, this is a sentiment neutral. Here, awesome, it took as positive. So, your sentiment becomes positive. Now, your input data is, the storyline for the series was repetitive and abysmal. And your output indicator here is sentiment. What is the sentiment for this? You're asking your ChatGPT what will be the sentiment of this entire prompt. That is your context that you have given, which tells ChatGPT to act as an analyst and do sentiment analysis. It gives an instruction to classify the feedback provided. That is your input data, and classify that feedback into positive, negative, and neutral. Here you are giving examples for the same, so that your ChatGPT can understand, learn, and then act accordingly. Now, the output for this particular feedback is negative. So, if you copy paste this into your ChatGPT, it gives you an output as negative for this sentence. So, this is how you should write your prompt, which is good. These are the components, good components for your prompt, so that the output that ChatGPT generates for you is exact for you to work upon. So, this is what we understood about components of a good prompt. Now that you have seen what are the different components of a good prompt, let's have a look at a good checklist that you can keep in mind while designing an effective prompt for better results. So, the first one is defining the goal. Telling ChatGPT what exactly you want to do. That is called defining the goal. Next is detail out the format. Format is output format that you want ChatGPT to provide you. For example, as I told you previously, it can be table, paragraph, list, CSVs, anything that you want. And you can give it in a priority order also. Ask ChatGPT to give you in a priority order if you are working on such content. Next is creating a role. If you remember the previous prompt that we discussed, while learning about components of a good prompt, we told as a context, act like an analyst. That is creating a role so that ChatGPT assigns or processes based on your request, based on that role that you have asked. Next is clarity who the audience is, or clarify who the audience is. Basically, you are telling ChatGPT, please generate the output based on the demography of my audience, whom I am catering to. It can be beginner level, intermediate, advanced, if you are creating any content. If you are creating code, it can be foundational, functional, expert, based on the audience. It can also, if you're a teacher and you are using ChatGPT, you can specify, I want to teach fractions from a 6th class learner perspective. Or if you want to create a content, or if you're working on something and you want to make someone understand that particular concept. For example, I want a 10-year-old to understand what is prompt. How would I make that particular learner understand? That kind of clarity, that kind of clarifications, when you put in your prompt, what is your target audience, it will generate tailored feedbacks, tailored outputs for your prompt. Next is giving context. Basically, you are giving every possible additional information for ChatGPT in your prompt so that the purpose of your request is clarified to ChatGPT and the response that it generates is what you want. Next is giving examples. We saw in the previous components, while we were understanding components, that giving example trains your ChatGPT or makes it understand that what you want, and it learns from it to produce accurate results. Next is specifying the style. It can be communication style if you're working with a brand. It can be how your brand works. Communication style such as informal, formal, what do you want to do? So it's suitable for your response. Next is defining the scope. When you outline the scope with specifications, besides giving context and examples, ChatGPT operates within those parameters. For example, temperature, when you are telling, okay, I want to be creative, my temperature is this. I want my top P to be this, right? You are defining the scope for your ChatGPT. Applying restrictions. Restrictions becomes your, what is, supposing, length that you want. The output length, the token length that you want. There is a restriction, but what is that you want? When you apply those restrictions, that constraints will create right boundaries for ChatGPT to produce relevant responses. So all these are checklists that you can keep in mind. Again, these all pointers in your checklist revolves around all the components of a good prompt that we have already seen. But as a checklist, you can keep in mind that, okay, these are my pointers which I can follow when I'm designing my prompt. So this is how you can write a good prompt. So now let's understand what are the different prompt patterns. One is your persona patterns. Act as X, do the task as Y. As a yoga instructor, create a beginner-friendly routine for joint mobility. For example, this is your persona pattern. Next is your audience persona pattern. For example, in the previous bit I told, explain this concept, supposing prompt. Explain prompt to me, assume that I am a 10-year-old child. Or another example that is there, explain the importance of eating greens, assume I am a skeptical child. So you are trying to tell ChatGPT that what is your audience persona. And you are writing your prompt or designing your prompt having the correct bits. Explain to me, assume I'm this. Or previously, persona pattern, act like this. Next is visualization generator pattern.